Hello, my fellow mad heroes and extraordinary game changers. Whew, what a last few days this has been since this election in the United States has come to an end. And I'm not sure if your world has been rocked the way that so many people that I'm encountering has been, but I just felt like I wanted to chime in and just connect with you about what our experience as a family has been. Last night, my husband and I went out for kind of a recuperating, rejuvenating date, and we were in this Irish pub, and we're in Canada, in Calgary, Alberta, and it was unbelievable that every person we passed on the way to our table and every person around us was having a conversation about the situation in the United States and how it's transpired. You can imagine that with us working on a project called the Phone Booth Project, which is all about igniting and fueling heroism in the world, and then this concept of mad heroes being about living a mad, passionate life, but also dealing with our own sense of whispering and crazy and drive, and how do we channel that in positive ways. That this election and all that's transpired and what it says about the state of our world might be intriguing us. I've never been more engaged in a political process, actually, and even though my family was involved with politics, my mother's cousin was a senator, and Todd is so involved in international business and understanding politics and what that means to us in Canada and across the world. But this one we were really engaged with because we came across a radio station actually that's called POTUS Radio, and it's on Sirius Radio, but it's really an unbiased view of what was going on throughout these last number of months. And it was refreshing because it was nearly drama free, although what was happening wasn't, but the perspectives were very well weighted. And any of you that know me, you know my background's in public relations, and when I ran a department in San Diego, I had to read 5 newspapers a day and be completely engaged in politics and what was happening in the news regularly. And when I left that profession, I moved into working with people, nonprofits, and working away from the media. I really took a step back, and I was really loving not being engaged in the drama that can ensue when the media is involved, and the perspectives that can fly, particularly in the United States, with fear mongering about what's happening. So it's refreshing when we can find these stations that give us keen perspective and engage us in conversation. So that's how it began, and then we became engaged to see how this was really going to play out. And like many of you, we were, and many people in the world, we were absolutely shocked with how November 8th came down, and what it will mean for everyone moving forward. So, lots of people have talked about, what does it mean? How do I talk about this with my children? And our boys were very much engaged, not with, the depth and anger that was present and all the derisive behavior, but we definitely talked to them about values, as we do in our family, about values, about kindness, about compassion, and how Donald Trump's perspective, or how, he was speaking and how he was being, revealed through some of his actions, that those values were not in alignment with what we believe. We definitely believe in diversity. We believe in kindness, obviously women's rights. We love the fact that Canada is so much of this salad bowl of all these incredible human beings that have immigrated here to be able to bring their rich, beautiful cultures here. We raise our boys with that joy and connection. We have many beautiful gay and lesbian friends that we love and celebrate. Our boys are very clear about the fact that love is love, that we stand behind that. So some of the things that Donald Trump was bringing to the forefront were, raised with our children in gentle ways, but definitely talking about the issues. So on November 8th, when we sat down, there was an agitation as we watched the bill. Our boys went to bed, and Todd and I stayed up. And then, it got so uncomfortable that we actually just said, what, this is not what we're about. Whatever the outcome is, we will deal with it in a positive and peaceful way, as we always do. So we're going to go to bed. And I think my husband, well, he told me later that he actually would have stayed up and he would have watched the rest of the election had I not really felt like we just needed to pull back. Well, ironically enough, guess who was up at 3 o'clock in the morning? And I didn't wake Todd because I wanted him to be able to sleep for work the next day, but I got up and I couldn't sleep. I woke up with kind of a feeling and an energy of the world being in pain. And when I went down and I watched PBS, and I watched their hour special about how it had all rolled out, and I felt a nausea rise within me that is really quite unprecedented, like the election, unprecedented within me. I really tend to do just flow with what life gives. And I realize that I'm connected to a larger sense of energy, and I believe and have faith in people, and that we can rise to a better occasion within ourselves and we can create a difference in the world. But something about this really shook me. And as Donald Trump was now announced, the next president of the United States, I actually found myself, very unusual for me, I burst into tears, and I felt this sorrow for all the people that were instantly afraid of what tomorrow might mean for them. And not so much being able to explain it to our own children, because we feel a strong sense within our family of a connection and ability to talk about anything and deal with it in a positive manner. But I knew that so many people living in the United States would feel absolutely rocked by this. And the other thing that really struck me was that Hilary Clinton, no matter how you felt about her politically, and I definitely feel like Hilary and Donald were not the best candidates, no matter how you might feel about that candidate, truly, this woman, Hilary Clinton, had spent her entire life in politics, and she lost to a man who had been in there for a year and a half. And what it said for women in that position of strength, and her, riding through her husband's campaign, through all the challenges that came with Bill Clinton, and coming out on the other side and being stronger as a family. And now she was waking up the next morning to the reality that she would never be the president of the United States. And I ached for her, and I ached for the young girls and the women who saw her as a sense of hope, like myself. And I really felt just a deep sense of sorrow. So the article that I'm posting below here was one that my friend Laura Simonson brought to my attention by the NYTimes, and I encourage you to read it because it really speaks deeply and powerfully about a one woman's perspective on what this meant. But what we said to our children the next day was really about just, feeling the grief, feeling the sorrow, and then trying to find the hope. And the post that I posted that night at 4:30 in the morning was about the fact that the light always comes through the darkness, that we have to trust in the democratic process. And our son Nathaniel is actually, his middle name is Thomas, named after Thomas Jefferson. And as my husband so eloquently says it, named after the man who brought the checks and balances in place for democracy within the United States. And we have to trust those checks and balances. And then when I saw Donald Trump make his acceptance speech, I saw him in this place of reverence and perhaps overwhelmed by the fact that he'd won, understanding that himself, because I think even he and his team, I know they were shocked, that perhaps we can hope that he will see this, that, this superhero phrase, with great power comes great responsibility. And perhaps he will see that now. And today he met with Barack Obama. Apparently the transition is going to, the intent is that it goes smoothly, whatever that means. But just that there is a bigger picture and a bigger idea and situation at stake here. And that I just hope and pray that Donald Trump can rise to the best occasion within himself, trust the people around him, really create a unified sense for America, so that those beautiful folks that are all citizens and that we're all responsible for building the America that is today, that they feel included and honored, and that he softens to the diversity and the peace and the joy that he can create, and the connection between human beings, and that we as Canadians can be a part of that. And so I just encourage you, as we have been with our children, to send what we call in our fun little mad hero way, sending sparkle thoughts, sending love of peace. We know that energy has power, and we need to take responsibility for our role to maintain a sense of kindness, a sense of respect, and be very careful with our thoughts and what we share on the internet, and how we share it, because our energy is either feeding something beautiful or it's feeding something negative, and we can't go there. That's the very thing that none of us really respected about this entire campaign in the States. So I hope that speaks to you. I hope that You know that you're not alone. I'm sure you're connecting with your family and your friends. And I hope that you can find the courage to turn the conversations to peace and hope, because we know that each one of us has that assignment here on the planet. I love you. I'm sending love to you. I hope that you are having peaceful moments, that you're healing if you need to heal, that you're feeling a sense of hope and connection, and that you're going to use this to fuel your own work, your own heroic, incredible work in the world. And I wish you an extraordinary, game-changing day, a healing day, and in your beautiful, extraordinary life. Until next time, bye-bye.